In 2014, Breck Bednar was a 14-year-old schoolboy, and like many children his age, he spent time online gaming and chatting to his friends. Unfortunately, he was targeted and groomed by 18-year-old Lewis Daynes, an extremely disturbed and dangerous man who murdered Breck. He then tried to cover his tracks by making the following call to the police.
Essex Police Emergency.
Hi there. Hello. I need police and a forensics team to my address, please.
What do you mean? What's happened?
My friend and I got into an altercation, and I'm the only one who came out alive.
Welcome to Evil Among Us. Breck Bednar was born in London on March 17, 1999, to Lauren and Barry. By 2006, Breck's parents had divorced and he lived with his mother and his three younger siblings, 12-year-old triplets Carly, Chloe and Sebastian. He was a student at St Bede's School in Red Hill in Surrey in the UK and a member of the Air Training Corps 135 Squadron, also in Red Hill, and was described by those who knew him as a polite, warm and compassionate young man. However, Breck struggled to make friends and, like many children, he spent his time online gaming, forming connections with those he met online. In mid-2013, Breck was introduced to an online gaming group by a friend at church, and this group was run by Lewis Daynes, an 18-year-old man who lived in Grays in Essex. There were only 8 members of this online group in total, and Daines was in control, with him banning members of the group at will, and the group communicated via headphones. Daines would boast to the group about his success as a software engineer. He claimed to live in New York, own various properties, and work for the government on top secret projects. He also told them he had donated $2.5 million in Bitcoin to rebels fighting the government forces in Syria. Daines claimed to be a millionaire, the owner of several companies that were valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Daines would make these claims to all the members of the group, but it appears that as time progressed, he began to hone in on Breck, grooming him. Breck clearly loved the attention, believing that a wealthy tech entrepreneur was interested in him. He did not see the danger that he was in, or realise that the person he was talking to was extremely dangerous and a master manipulator. Lewis Daynes was born in 1986, and it's reported that he had a troubled life. He was an only child and his parents divorced when he was young. After the separation, Daines' mother left the country and he spent time living with his grandmother and, it's also reported, spent some time in the care system. At the age of 16, so in around 2012, Daines moved into a property owned by his grandparents. Daines was described as a recluse by his neighbours, who barely saw him, with him spending almost all of his time sat in front of his computer gaming. It does appear that Daines had some skill with software engineering, although I cannot find out whether he had qualifications or whether he was simply self-taught. However, he was not a millionaire, did not own any companies, and was clearly a manipulative and narcissistic man who made up lies of extreme wealth and success in order to gain attention, with his stories being in contrast to his real existence, where he was unemployed and living rent-free in his grandparents' house. Daines also had a sexual interest in young boys and had already come to the attention of the police. This included in 2011 when he was arrested by the police on suspicion of 5 offences, including attempted rape, sexual activity without consent, as well as child pornography. This occurred when he was 15 years old, when he attempted to rape another boy. However, this was apparently investigated by Essex police, but he was not charged with any offences. It appears that Daines had set upon using gaming to identify and groom male children for sexual purposes, and, in 2013, he had set his sights on Breck Bednar. Breck was clearly taken with the attention of Lewis Daynes, a man who was telling him that he too could become a successful software engineer and a millionaire like him because he had, quote, that kind of mind. Daines told Breck that he was wasting his time with school and that they should go into business together. Daines used his power to block people online to isolate Breck, with him blocking his friends and especially those who tried to call him out on his lies. Daines would also get into Breck's head by telling him that his friends were talking about him behind his back and that he was the only one that he could trust. Lauren began to notice a change in her son's behaviour. He stopped going to church and socialising outside of his bedroom and would spend most of his time in front of the computer. She became concerned by the influence Daines was having on Breck, with him frequently telling her all the lies that Daines had told him about his wealth and success, which she was able to see through. Lauren tried to stop contact between Daines and Breck by threatening to take away his computer, but Daines would twist this into Breck's parents trying to control him rather than protect him. Daines convinced Breck that his parents and friends were just jealous and that he was the only one that he could trust and the only one who could see his true potential. During arguments with his mother, Breck would tell his mother, well, Lewis said this or that, and she was becoming increasingly concerned that he was grooming her son. Daines was clearly a skilled manipulator and was using classic grooming techniques, including establishing a bond with his victim, filling some sort of need in their life, making them feel special and unique, as well as isolating them from others. In December 2013, Breck's mother Lauren called Essex police, stating their son was being groomed and she believed he was in danger. The police took no action. She did attempt to end the online relationship between Breck and Daines, but was unable to control everything her son was doing. She limited his access to electronic devices and added parental controls to lessen his contact with Daines. However, Daines would help Breck circumvent all of these barriers and encourage him to lie to his parents to remain in control of him. In early 2014, Daines began to put the next stage of his plan into action, meeting Breck. Daines told Breck that he was dying and wanted to hand over his business to him. However, they needed to meet face to face at his property in Grays, Essex, so he could show Breck the ropes before the handover. They arranged a meeting on the 17th of February 2014. What happened on the 17th of February 2014 at Lewis Daynes' property in Grays, Essex, was clearly pre-planned, as, in the weeks leading up to this date, he bought duct tape, condoms, syringes and cable ties. On the directions of Daines, Breck told his mother that he was going to stay at a friend's house for a sleepover near their home in Surrey, but he secretly took a train to Grays in Essex, and, after taking a taxi to Daines' property, stepped through the front door. What happened next will never be known with certainty, but it appears that, soon after arriving, Daines attacked Breck and tied him up. Police determined that sexual activity had taken place between the pair, but, understandably, they've never disclosed exactly what occurred, but I believe that this was likely non-consensual. Daines then cut Breck's throat with this knife, causing cataclysmic injuries, resulting in him bleeding to death in minutes. Daines then calmly took a shower, and shockingly, took pictures of Breck's dead body and shared them online with people, clearly to gain more attention. He took the bloody clothes he was wearing and put them in a rubbish bag. He also dumped his hard drives in water, clearly to erase the contents. And then, only then, he made the 999 call which I partially played during the intro, but here is a fuller version of that call.
Essex Police Emergency.
Hi there. Okay. Hello. I need police and a forensics team to my address, please.
What do you mean? What's happened?
My friend and I got into an altercation, and I'm the only one who came out alive.
Are you telling me you've killed somebody?
Yes, I am.
Right, and who am I speaking to?
My name is Lewis Daynes. I'm 18 years old, and I live
okay. And what's actually happened?
My friend came to stay the night with me yesterday, feeling very down, feeling suicidal. And I woke up this morning, he was in a mess. I tried to calm him down. I hugged him, then said that I was there for him. He shrugged me off.
Can you just bear with me a second? Don't tell me any more, okay? You're telling me he is definitely dead?
Yes, I'm telling you he's definitely dead.
Bear with me a second. Right, okay, Lewis, I need you to just take me back through that again. So what happened last night?
Okay. He came to stay with me because he was feeling down. I tried
What's
my
his
best.
name?
Breck. Breck. Bednar. Bednar.
Sorry, B-R-E...
E-C-K.
Breck?
Yes.
And then his surname is?
Bednar. Bedner.
Okay, so he came to stay with you.
I can explain this to the officers when they get
I
there.
will just... I need to take these initial details.
I know. He came to stay with me the night. I did my best to comfort him. I woke up this morning. He was in a mess. I tried again.
Right, just slow down again, Lewis. I need to take these details. So did you have an argument with him last night?
No, we were fine.
You were fighting?
No, we were fine. We were fine last night. We both went to sleep. I said that we were fine.
Okay, but why did he come to stay with you?
Because he was fed up with his home life.
Right, because he was fed up with his home life.
He's had a lot of problems. I've known him for a long time. He came to stay with me. I was in Thailand last week on holiday. He was in Spain on holiday.
Okay.
We both got back.
So,
met up.
you both went to bed, and then what's happened this morning?
I woke up. He was just standing up. He was in a mess, hands on his face. I got up. I put my arms around him, and I said it was okay. He just shrugged me off and said no. I can't remember exactly what he said. He was going on about how he didn't want to go home. He was fed up with his life, and he didn't want to go.
Right,
and
okay.
I have a penknife on the side of, in my room, adjacent to my bed. I have a chest of drawers. After shaving the TV and stuff on there, I had a penknife on there, folded. He picked it up, opened it, and then lost control.
Slow down. Let me just take those details here. Penknife on the bedside table. Breck grabbed this.
Yes.
What, in order to harm himself?
No, in order to harm me. He opened it and then lost control.
To harm informant and opened it. It states he lost control.
In self-defense, put my left arm up to block him from stabbing me effectively. We struggled. I got him to the ground. He got up. I got the knife. Can you not interrupt me with this part?
Okay, go on.
Okay. This is being recorded anyway, isn't it?
Yep.
I grabbed the knife and I stabbed him once in the back of the neck, I believe somewhere near the brainstem. He turned around, tried to carry it on, and I think I stumbled on my chest of drawers. I fell over. I got back up, backed away, and then I don't remember exactly what happened, but the fight ended with me cutting his throat. I believe I turned around and I slashed his throat.
Right.
He fell face first on my bed. I tried to stop the bleeding.
Yep.
He fell onto the floor.
Yep.
I couldn't stop it. His throat was properly cut.
And he's still on the floor?
Yes. He fell onto the bed face first. I was trying to compress the wound at that time. And
Lewis, are you still in the room where Breck is?
No.
Where are you?
Look, don't interrupt me. Just let me explain this. If this is being recorded, I didn't know what to do. I felt like
Right, is the house where you are, is where you are and where Breck is, yeah? But you're in another room, are you?
Yes, I felt like taking my own life. I don't remember what happened after that. All I know is I dropped the knife in my hallway, I stripped down and just sat in the shower.
Right, you've left the weapon in the hallway?
Yes.
And have spent how long sitting in the shower?
I don't know. Look, are the police on their way? I can hear something.
They are.
Okay, I'm going to go and do my part. Please, thank you for your help.
Right, just listen.
Clearly, Lewis Daynes is a narcissist, believing that he was smarter than the police and that his story would be believed without any questions being asked. But it's clear that alarm bells were ringing the second he started speaking on this call. I don't know about you, but if I killed a friend, even by accident, I'd be in an absolute state and probably couldn't string 2 words together. I definitely wouldn't sound like I was calling to order a pizza or book a taxi. The lack of emotion in this call by a man who's standing with the dead body of a 14-year-old boy that he just murdered at his feet is shocking, and I think highlights the evil of Lewis Daynes. It's absolutely chilling. As well as the phone call, the police clearly found it strange that Daines had taken time to clean himself, destroy evidence, post pictures of Breck's body before calling them. It seems that Daines tried to change his story several times, claiming that Breck had tried to stab him and he'd killed him in self-defence, to then claiming that Breck had tried to kill himself with the knife, and when Daines tried to stop him, his throat was cut, apparently by accident. However, none of this was believed, and the evidence did not stack up. Breck had clearly been bound, and there was no evidence of any altercation between the pair. Lewis Daynes was charged with murder. Clearly knowing that the case was airtight, Lewis Daynes pleaded guilty to the murder of Breck Bednar and was set to be sentenced at Chelmsford Crown Court on the 12th of January 2015 before Mrs Justice Cox. Daines attended his sentencing hearing wearing a suit and showing no emotion during the hearing and keeping his head down. The only movement from him was him shaking his head when details of the case were read out which he disagreed with, specifically the implication that the murder of Breck was underpinned by a sexual and sadistic motivation. Justice Cox stated, quote, "Having lured the young victim to your flat, you murdered him. You had befriended Breck with a number of other adolescent friends through an online community. Your contact with Breck increased in a sinister way. The precise details of what happened in your flat are unclear and may never be known. I'm sure this murder was driven by sadistic or sexual motivation." She then sentenced him. Lewis Daynes was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum tariff of 25 years before he can apply for parole. Before analysing Lewis Daynes, it's necessary to outline his further behaviour after his imprisonment. Specifically, on the 26th of November 2015, so 10 months after his sentence, 2 blog posts appeared online entitled, quote, "BBC documentary, questions to be asked," and, quote, "open letter from Lewis Daynes." Both reported to have been written and posted by Daines himself. They are sickening postings, and it's clear that the main purpose is to cause further harm to the family whilst continuing to minimise his behaviour. I won't read either out completely, but will read out parts and comment on these. So the second post starts with, quote, "The purpose of this statement is not intended to cause further distress to the family and friends of Breck. It is to put forward additional details unknown to the general public who did not know Breck or me. I have waited and respected the need for the family and friends of Breck to take full advantage of the media coverage and feel it's now time to release my own statement." Take full advantage of the media coverage. Their son was murdered. This is not media coverage that anyone in Breck's life wanted, and what right do you have to respond? The way this is worded is like a petulant child not getting attention, basically saying, "Why are you paying so much attention to them? What about me?" There's then lots of rambling basically stating that he's not a predatory sex offender against children, but then it becomes more sinister, with Daines stating, quote, Breck was driven away from family life and towards the virtual world. He drew comfort from the friends he made online. Our community members and myself learned that Breck suffered severe abuse at home, abuse from someone who was supposed to nurture him and care for him, someone who was supposed to encourage him and support him in his hopes and dreams and in the career path that he had chosen, a career path he shared with us, his online friends, who would listen and try giving advice on how to deal with the abuse. We learned, and some of us witnessed and recorded, that abusive individual regularly coming home in a state of intoxication and letting fly with drunken, abusive behaviour at Breck, shouting and humiliating him, often turning violent, causing Breck to withdraw further into that virtual safe haven that he found online. This he shared with other members and myself. His abuser is well known to police. Various people have previously filed reports of child abuse and domestic violence with the police, which are on record and easily verifiable. He then adds, quote, On reflection, I believe this is why he formed this strong emotional attachment to me. He obviously drew some kind of comfort in having others and myself to confide in, to talk about his domestic problems and abuse. Someone who encouraged him and tried to help him deal with the abuse and mixed up feelings, trying to advise him to try to choose his own path and not be coerced into careers and fundamental religious beliefs he did not believe in or want to follow. So, Breck was being abused and Daines was there to comfort him. His family drove him online, so basically they, not he, are ultimately responsible for his death. To be clear, there's no evidence of abuse, and, even if there was, how does this justify what he did? Curiously, Daines says he won't name the alleged abusers, likely because they don't exist. Daines can't help continuing to lie about his success, with him claiming that, just prior to murdering Breck, he'd been offered a job abroad and had just returned from a successful business trip. Daines appears to generally feel aggrieved with any implication in the media that his life was not perfect, including the state of his flat, with him responding to reports that it was described as untidy by saying, quote, The police photographs actually show a very clean, tidy, modern flat inside and outside in a very nice residential street, the opposite of what they describe it as. Sickeningly, this second blog post ends with the lines, quote, Breck, you'll always be in my thoughts. I hope you're at peace. I am so sorry. Your friend, Lewis Daynes. It appears likely that these posts were actually written by Daines, and either he posted them himself, using a mobile phone he obtained in prison, or potentially he dictated it to some weak-minded individual on the outside, who then posted it on his behalf. However, regardless of how it got there, it gives us further information to understand the evil that is Lewis Daynes. Of course, we can only speculate, but I believe that he's likely what is known as a malignant narcissist. This is a subcategory of narcissistic personality disorder, which basically involves the sufferer being self-absorbed, having low empathy for others, and expecting special treatment from others due to their apparent superiority. However, this is often a mask, as sufferers usually have extreme issues with their self-esteem and such a fragile ego that they project to others the person they want to be as a way to desperately hide from the person they truly are. Malignant narcissism is considered a severe form of this condition, with sufferers displaying traits of often extremely abusive behaviour, victimising others in order to get what they want. Traits of a malignant narcissist include being preoccupied with fantasies about beauty, brilliance, success and power, having an inability to handle criticism, being likely to take advantage of others to get what they want, having a lack of empathy for others, having no remorse for hurting others and no interest in apologising unless it benefits them, and having a tendency to blame others for their own bad behaviour. These individuals are practiced liars and manipulators, and will spin the most amazing tales of success, even if they're clearly lies, and, when confronted, they'll refuse to admit any fault and twist the narrative to make themselves seem like the victim. I think, based on these traits, it's easy to see why I think Lewis Daynes fits into this category. He is a man who demanded special treatment from others and felt entitled to engage in sex acts with young boys and would manipulate and coerce anyone to get his own way. His coldness after killing Breck on the phone call to 999 I think shows his complete lack of any emotion or empathy. He knew that society would frown on his behaviour, but I think he struggles to understand what the issue is. Hence why he felt the need to comment about the media's portrayal of him. His sole focus is on how others see him. He can't get away from the fact he killed Breck, but of course it's everyone else's fault. It's Breck's family's fault for alleged abuse, and he was actually Breck's protector and his friend. His ego is so fragile that he even had to write about the fact that his flat was clean and tidy and continued to lie about how successful he was. Personality disorders are lifelong conditions, with sufferers engaging with therapy to manage the traits of their condition. However, narcissists do not tend to seek out or accept treatment, as it would involve acknowledging their issues, letting the mask slip. It may be that Lewis Daynes has a revelation in years to come and shows genuine remorse and tries to make amends for his behaviour, but I doubt it. I'm not sure he has the capacity to feel remorse or any other emotion for anyone but himself. Lewis Daynes is a monster, and I think he'll continue to pose a serious risk of harm to others until the day that he leaves this world. The death of Breck destroyed his family's life, and Lauren has been transparent about her struggles to come to terms with the death of her son and best friend, with her explaining that she basically couldn't get out of bed for a year after his death. However, as with many of my videos, it's amazing how brave these people are and how someone keeps going when they've suffered the most horrific of losses. A parent should never have to bury their child. Her heartache must have been compounded when she found out about the blog posts I just mentioned. The family did try to get them taken down, but was stonewalled, with them being told they needed to speak to Daines about removing them. I mean, seriously? Unfortunately, they still exist today. I won't link to them. They don't deserve any attention. Her heart must have further sunk when the Independent Police Complaints Commission cleared Essex Police of any wrongdoing in their handling of this case, specifically not acting on Lauren's call to them in December 2013. Lauren then set up the Breck Foundation, the link to which I'll put in the description. It's a really interesting website where you can volunteer or fundraise for the organisation and book a speaker to come to schools or churches to talk to children about internet safety. They also provide training for teachers on how to spot the signs of grooming. You can also donate, which I think, if you're looking for a cause to support, this would be a perfect organisation because the whole focus of them is to protect children. And, as the stats say on the website, 99% of children went online in some form in 2021, and a third of children regularly play online games with strangers. I've signed up for a monthly donation, and there are various categories telling you what your donation can achieve. I have no affiliation with this foundation, and I'm just mentioning it genuinely because I think that organisations like this should be handed bags of money to continue their work, as it's clear not only that this foundation keeps Breck's memory alive, but his mother's sole focus now is to try and stop other mothers having to go through the agony that she had to go through. Breck, I'm sure, will be proud of her, and I sincerely hope that he is at peace. So, I want to thank you for watching, but would ask that instead of liking this video, etc., go to the Breck Foundation website using the link in the description. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.